Okay, y'all, I'm back. Just reading some of the evening news, and I'm just noticing they've issued some more claims against Sean Diddy Combs. Now, this is a lawyer outside of Houston, and he says he's licensed in New York. And he's saying that he is bringing claims against Puffy for 120 plaintiffs, 25 of them being minors. So they are now trying to accuse Diddy of being a Chester. They're trying to say that he messed with kids too. Now, I remember back some years, they tried to claim that Michael Jackson molested these boys. And years later, I think after Michael died, one of the kids' fathers, the accuser's fathers, and one of the accusers themselves winded up killing themselves because they admitted that they lied on Michael and they only did it for money. Go back, and if you don't believe me, go back and do the research. Google it, research it. Two of them ended up committing suicide after they admitted that they falsely accused Michael Jackson and extorted him for money. Um, these accusations against Diddy, they're trying to accuse him of being a woman beater, which we knew he beat women. I mean, that video of Cassie, she proved her case. But they're trying to say he's a woman beater. He's a freak who likes to have orgies and threesomes. They're saying they're trying to accuse him of being a homosexual or bisexual. Um, Now they're putting the pedophile label on him. So what it is, in my opinion, is that I do not believe all of these claims that are being brought, all these claims, these accusations. Some of them may be true, but I don't believe all of them are true. Now is just at this point, these people are trying to look, some of these people are just looking for a payday. Because if he molested kids, wouldn't you think the feds would know that? That the feds would have found out about that? If they investigating everything else and they got the freak off tapes and everything, don't you think that they would have known if he touched kids? Not all the time, but I'm just thinking if they've been doing all this investigation on him and stuff, they would have found out that he was into stuff like that. These are some strong accusations, and it just seems like to me that whoever he made mad, whoever he crossed in that Illuminati, in that industry, whoever he pissed off, they are trying to make this man lose his life. They're trying to take this, not only are they trying to break him financially, they're trying to break him spiritually and physically and psychologically. They are trying to make this man lose his life. Either they're trying to make him die in prison, off himself, or somebody do it. Like they're trying to Epstein him. If not Epstein him, they're trying to do them like they did Suge Knight and make sure that he dies in prison. Now, I'm not saying this may be his punishment, part of his punishment for the deaths of Biggie and Tupac, for whatever role he had in those two men not being here. He may be paying for that. We don't know, but somebody is definitely out to get this man, or somebody is a group of people, or something happened. It may be the people at the liquor company. Oh, I don't know. But somebody is definitely out to destroy this man. But the lawyer in Houston, this Tony Busby, he's claiming that there are other powerful people that were involved with Diddy and enabled. They were accessories and enablers and accomplices. And he says that he's going to start naming names. So I look at it like this. If he's making these type of claims and accusing other people, big name people, he said it would shock people if we knew who they were. Bring them out, name them. If you're not only in this for money, for monetary gain, and you really want to expose these people, bring all of them out. Don't just let Puffy go down for what happened to these plaintiffs, to these victims. Bring all of them out. Expose all of them. Because then that way people will know what goes on and, the inner workings of that industry and just how wicked it really is. Let's go all the way deep down in the rabbit hole. Bring the people out. Bring out the politicians. Bring out the preachers. Bring out the royals. Bring out the actors, actresses, athletes, comedians, everybody who's involved. Bring them out. Put your money where your mouth is. Put up or shut up. You said you're going to drag them out willingly. You said you issued the threat to them that, they come out willingly, or you going to drag them out. So I say drag them. If they participated in anything where they're abusing people, hurting people, bring them out. That's the right thing to do. Let the world know just how these people really get down. I told y'all months ago that it's a lot of stuff that's going to be exposed about the inner workings of that industry. But I'm going to tell y'all this. I don't know how God is going to do it, but he's also going to expose that all of you bloggers, all of you podcasters, and all of you regular people, this is just a warning. I'm letting y'all know that these celebrities, they go on these websites, on these message boards, and they listen to these podcasts and these YouTubes where you're saying things about them that may very well be true, or it may deeply offend them and hurt their feelings. And what they do is that they find out who you are and they dox you. They have you followed. They put private investigators in your life. I'm telling you, they mess with your family. They mess with your friends, your coworkers. They will send people to you as flying monkeys and infiltrate your life. And yeah, they will do all of that stuff. If you say something about them or put something on the internet about them that hurts their feelings, or, and you tell some type of truth about them, some secret that they didn't want to get out, or you expose them in some type of way, they will do all of that to you. And only it's going to take God to bring that out and show the world just how they really do operate in that whole industry, because it's evil. It's more evil than y'all know. It's more evil than y'all can ever imagine. And what they also do, they lie. They're professional liars. What they do is even stuff that you think, like on TMZ, something happens and you think is just something that happened in just regular, just something that just happened. They stage that stuff too. They will deliberately stage something and make it look like it was real and it wasn't fake and wasn't staged. They'll fake robberies. They fake all kinds of stuff just so it can be on TMZ, because they're so narcissistic that they crave attention. Anything to keep their name out there. They stage fights. They stage all kind of stuff just to keep you talking about them, just to have stay relevant, just so they can have long as they feel like no attention. No, bad attention, good attention, any type of attention is better than no attention. And that's why they stage stuff like that. That whole Kendrick and Drake stuff staged. All of it staged. There's a lot of this stuff y'all don't know that goes down in that industry. But them people are wicked. They are wicked. And if you knew half the things that these people do, you wouldn't look at a celebrity with respect at all for the rest of your life. You will look at them a certain way. But yeah, there's a lot of strong accusations being made against Puffy, Diddy, or whatever we want, Brother Love, or whoever, Sean Combs. And I think that they should give him bail so he can get out and defend himself, because these are some serious. They're trying to destroy his legacy and his life. But yeah, enough of that. That's just God letting us know that, what Bible says. You're looking to get rich, you pierce your life with many sorrows. When you seek out that type of stuff, you pierce your life with many sorrows. Those looking to get rich. So, just an example. But God's going to keep exposing this stuff. With the war, Iran has blew up the headquarters of the Mossad spy agency in Israel. They are striking inside of Israel, and they have completely leveled Mossad's headquarters, their facility in Tel Aviv. And you know, Tel Aviv is the largest city in Israel. You know, so yeah, Iran is directly attacking Israel now. And they said that they did it in retaliation for Israel killing Hania and Nasrallah. But now America has entered into the war. They're into it now. Since Iran is attacking Israel directly, America has entered into the war. And what's going to happen now is Russia's going to enter into the war, and North Korea. So this is World War III. This is World War III. And I think they said that they sent, they're hitting Israel with hyperballistic missiles now. Yeah, they're hitting them with missiles inside in Tel Aviv. So, and of course, Benjamin Netanyahu has warned Iran that y'all are going to wish you never did it. And he's not playing with them. He is not playing at all. He told them that there's nowhere you can go that we can't get you, and you're going to wish you never did that. Because they destroyed the whole Mossad intelligence, Israel's intelligence agency. They're the ones responsible for putting the bombs in the pagers and the electronics a couple of weeks ago. Mossad did that. They carried out all the planning in that. So Israel is definitely gonna make them pay. Israel is going to make Iran pay for this attack. And America has now entered into this war. So Russia's going to get into it, and North Korea is going to get into it against Israel and America. This is World War III. So all these things are happening simultaneously. It's the longshoreman strike that's going to affect product shortages throughout the country, and now it's going to cause prices to increase, and now we're going to enter into a third world war. The weather, this hurricane, they said is the second deadliest hurricane. I think it's behind Katrina. This is the deadliest hurricane in this decade. It's the most deadliest of the decade. But Hurricane Katrina was the most deadliest hurricane of the century. So they put this second to Katrina because a lot of lives have been lost, a lot of property damage. They said over $100 billion in property damage. They said it's like 3,000 people still unaccounted for. They don't know where they are. So the death toll keeps going up higher and higher the more, they discover more bodies. So they said there's up to 3,000 people that are still missing. It's Hurricane Helene. So, man, it's crazy. I told y'all, the doomsday, I was getting those doomsday warnings. I said it's natural disasters, it's war, and it's Jesus coming back. And it's just, all we can do is just wait and stay prayed up. So, all right, I'm rambling. But yeah, there's a lot going on. There's so much devastation and just, we just want Jesus to just come on back and get us out of here. So, all right, y'all. Still looking at the news, and I may be back if there's anything else, if it's not too late. So, okay, peace.
Disturbing new claims stacking up against the imprisoned P. Diddy.
We now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs.
Today in Houston, attorney Tony Busby announced that among the large group of people he represents, 25 were minors at the time of the alleged criminal activity. They're expected to file civil charges soon against Diddy with claims of sexual assault and or abuse by Diddy and his associates.
There are 60 males and 60 females. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old.
Busby also says some of the alleged victims were blood tested at the time, and test results found a horse tranquilizer drug in their system.
The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer.
Extra has reached out to Diddy's team for comment on the potential lawsuit, but we have yet to hear back. This, just as Diddy is dropping major cash for a new legal team.
It's all about the Benjamins, what?
Still locked up in Brooklyn's notorious Metropolitan Detention Center, the hip-hop mogul has beefed up his legal dream team. This to fight the no bail ruling. Renowned high-powered attorneys Alexandra Shapiro and Anthony Rico are now working on his third bail attempt. Diddy's next court appearance in his sex trafficking case is set for October 9th.
So, y'all, it's a lot going on, man. A lot going on. So, Israel has notified the U.S. that the Israeli Defense Forces will invade Lebanon. They have invaded Lebanon. They went on ahead. They told Biden, they told the Biden administration that, well, we going in. So they didn't wait and get permission from them to do it. They just told the United States that, look, we're about to go on ahead and we're raiding them. We're going to do a ground invasion. So, yeah, because you know why? Like I told y'all, Netanyahu doesn't report to Biden like Biden is his boss. Israel told America we going in, and as soon as they told them, they went right in. So they didn't give him time to try to talk them out of going, carrying out their plans to go ahead and just raid Lebanon. So they're in Lebanon, they're fighting, and they're just going to force them out of the north so that they said like up to 70,000 Israeli residents can return back to the north side of the country. So that's Netanyahu's game plan is to, one, eliminate Hezbollah and Hamas, and to return the people back to the northern part of the country in Israel. So those are the two goals of this war. It's not like, and then they were attacked. They were attacked on October 7th. And a matter of fact, that anniversary is coming up. The October 7th anniversary that Hamas attacked Israel is coming up. It will be a year since that day. And I look for something to really jump off. Probably full-fledged World War III is going to jump off on that anniversary. Something is going to happen. On October 7th. So that's only 6 days from now. Today's the 1st. And that happened on, so what is that, Saturday? Look for something to happen, y'all. But yeah, so the ground invasion is underway. They've been blowing up their weapons depots. Israel has been blowing up Hezbollah's weapon depots. And like I told y'all, they're going to blow up every house that they have used to store that they've hidden weapons in. They went into people's residences and stored weapons and ammunition, and Israel told the people in Lebanon that they got to get out of Lebanon so they can get rid of those weapons. So getting rid of those weapons means that they're going to blow up those houses that all those weapons are being hidden in. So now Lebanon has like over 1 million displaced people since Israel issued that evacuation order. So what has happened is now they've had to, provide them with humanitarian aid. The World Food Program, and probably, I don't know if the Red Cross is in there yet, but they have to provide humanitarian aid for nearly 1 million people who have fled Lebanon because of this war. Israel has also eliminated another Hamas general in Lebanon. His name is Fatih Sharif Abdul Elamin, along with his wife and children. They killed him. They killed his son and daughter. They killed him and his family. Israel did in Lebanon. He was a Hamas general, but they killed him in Lebanon. The IDF also eliminated 3 leaders of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine, also known as the PFLP, in Beirut. So they took out 4 more people yesterday. They up there doing major damage. A plume of smoke from that biolab fire down in Conyers, Georgia. They had a chemical fire at this place that stored, it warehoused chlorine and pool chemicals. And it had a fire some kind of way. And now they said a plume of smoke is in the air, and it has expanded to other counties outside of Conyers, Georgia. So it's in neighboring counties, and it caused 1,000 people to be, thousands of people, not 1,000, thousands of people to be evacuated. And they had to shut down a few roads down there in Georgia. So people have been advised. I don't know if it's been lifted. It's kind of late now, but people have been advised to shelter in place and to close their windows and their doors because of those chemicals in the air. What else? Oh, the longshoremen strike. They did go on strike midnight today. They went on strike. And the port workers and the dock workers, they went on strike. So we'll see how this works out, how this goes. But it started today, in which the Biden administration has declined to intervene. President Biden said he doesn't intervene with collective bargaining negotiations. So, if they strike for an extended period of time, that's going to cause a lot of shortages on the shelves, and it's going to cause prices to increase. So, but Biden will not. He can intervene if he wanted to. He can order them back to work, but he said he's not going to intervene. So, yeah. So a 41-year-old pervert has been denied bond in a Michigan court, where he's been charged for the rape and murder of a 13-year-old named Naziah Harris. He killed this girl because he got her pregnant. She was 13. He was messing with her. He's a pedophile, and he got this girl pregnant, so he killed her. He also raped another little girl under 13. He's been charged with that. And get this, he raped his own 4-year-old daughter. 4-year-old daughter, and infected her with an STD. So he's up there in Michigan. He was also arrested on an unrelated gun charge, and he was supposed to turn himself into prison, but they also charged him with these crimes from raping these 3 little girls, and he's being held without bond. So, yeah. But Naziah Harris's body hasn't been found, and she was pregnant with his child. So, God got a special place in hell for this spawn of Satan. That's what he is. He's a spawn of Satan. His own child, 4 years old, gave her an STD. Yeah, there's a special place for him. This pastor also got 50 years in prison for raping and impregnating a 13-year-old down in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Her mother sold her to this pastor. She's also, she's pregnant, just like the little girl, Naziah. This little girl is also pregnant. This pastor knocked up this 13-year-old girl, and they gave him 50 years in prison. That mother ought to be ashamed of herself, but she's probably not. Probably don't have. Anytime you can sell your kid you, a so-called pastor, to be sexually abused and raped and impregnated, you have no soul, you have no conscience. So that demon incriminated himself too by filming his crimes. He filmed himself molesting this 13-year-old girl. So that's probably what done him in. Is yeah, he did himself in. But y'all, I'm gonna go on in. It's about to get dark. Any other news that's happening, then I will be back. But some of these people are just sickening. They are just truly sickening. This is the world we live in, though. So, yeah. All right. I will talk to you guys later. Something else happened, anything kick off, there's any breaking news or whatever, or something I missed, then I will be back. Okay? Peace.
Turning now to the situation in the Middle East, where Israel has expanded its strikes on Iranian proxies, as President Biden warns an all-out war in the region must be avoided. Overnight, an Israeli strike in central Beirut killed 3 members of a Palestinian militant group, and Hamas says one of its leaders was killed in a separate strike in southern Lebanon. Israel has also launched strikes targeting Iranian-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen, killing at least 4 people and injuring 29 others. That's according to the group. All this comes after an Israeli strike over the weekend killed Hezbollah's leader, Hassan Nasrallah. This morning, Iran has warned that his death will not go unanswered. Speaking on CBS Face the Nation over the weekend, Arkansas Republican Senator Tim Cotton expressed support for Israel's actions.
All of Hezbollah's leadership needs to be eliminated, just like all of its arsenal needs to be eliminated. Just like the United States needs to be much more forceful in attacking Iran's terror army in Yemen, where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have had our sailors resting like sitting ducks in the Red Sea for months.
Our Chris Livesay has more on the escalating situation from northern Israel.
Good morning. We're seeing some of the clearest signs yet of Israel's preparation for an expansion of the conflict. Dozens and dozens of tanks, armored fighting vehicles, and bulldozers, virtually everything you would expect for a ground invasion. And this comes just days after Hezbollah confirmed the targeted killing of the head of Hezbollah, Hassan Nasrallah, and in the face of ongoing airstrikes in southern Beirut and in southern Lebanon, just a few miles from here. Now, if Israel is to mount this ground invasion, it comes after days and days of Israel making these warnings. But on the other side of that border with Lebanon await tens of thousands of Hezbollah fighters, many of them hardened by fighting in Syria, not to mention tens of thousands of rockets. There's also a long reputation in southern Lebanon and of Hezbollah using explosive devices along the road, using improvised bombs, booby traps, and suicide bombers. Chris Livesay, CBS News, Northern Israel.
All right, Chris, thank you.
And big breaking news coming in. 2 wings of the Israeli military, the IDF and the ISA, have announced that they have eliminated the head of the Lebanon branch of Hamas. The Israel Air Force targeted and eliminated the terrorist Fateh Sharif, head of the Lebanon branch of Hamas. Sharif was responsible for coordinating Hamas's terror operations in Lebanon. There is a big piece of breaking news that's coming in when it comes to the ongoing offensive that has expanded from Gaza into Lebanon as Israel targets both Hezbollah as well as Hamas. I'm joined by my colleague Siddhant Mishra on the broadcast, who's been tracking all the developments coming in from the Middle East. Siddhant, so the aim, it seems, from the Israeli military is to cripple any chance of a counteroffensive.
Well, that's right. It's a big piece of breaking input that we are getting. In fact, it's a big victory for Israel again, because Fateh Sharif happens to be the person of Hamas in Lebanon. And in fact, he was responsible for the coordination between Hamas and Hezbollah. He was also responsible for efforts in Lebanon to recruit operatives and acquire weapons. So look, Ayushman, all these 3 forces are the forces of resistance in the Middle East, as Iran calls them, forces of resistance, but they are Iranian proxies. So they have a very close coordination with each other. If Israel attacks one group, then there is always the other group comes in protection of that group. So that is how these groups have been functioning in the Middle East for the longest time. Now this Fateh Sharif, who happens to be the chief coordinator, has been eliminated by IDF and ISA, and this has been announced by the Israeli side. In fact, it's a big victory and achievement. The operative of Hamas in Lebanon, working for Hezbollah and Hamas, both for doing the coordination between the both militia groups, have been taken down by the Israeli forces. Back to you.
Right.
I speak a lot about the leaders of Iran. Yet at this pivotal moment, I want to address you, the people of Iran. I want to do so directly, without filters, without middlemen. Every day, you see a regime that subjugates you make fiery speeches about defending Lebanon, defending Gaza. Yet every day, that regime plunges our region deeper into darkness and deeper into war. Every day, their puppets are eliminated. Ask Mohammed Deif. Ask Nasrallah. There is nowhere in the Middle East Israel cannot reach. There's nowhere we will not go to protect our people and protect our country. With every passing moment, the regime is bringing you, the noble Persian people, closer to the abyss. The vast majority of Iranians know their regime doesn't care a whit about them. If it did care, if it cared about you, it would stop wasting billions of dollars on futile wars across the Middle East. It would start improving your lives. Imagine if all the vast money the regime wasted on nuclear weapons and foreign wars were invested in your children's education and improving your health care, in building your nation's infrastructure, water, sewage, all the other things that you need. Imagine that. But you know one simple thing. Iran's tyrants don't care about your future, but you do. When Iran is finally free, and that moment will come a lot sooner than people think, everything will be different. Our two ancient peoples, the Jewish people and the Persian people, will finally be at peace. Our two countries, Israel and Iran, will be at peace. When that day comes, the terror network that the regime built in 5 continents will be bankrupt, dismantled. Iran will thrive as never before. Global investment, massive tourism, brilliant technological innovation based on the tremendous talents that exist inside Iran. Doesn't that sound better than endless poverty, repression, and war? From Qom to Isfahan, from Shiraz to Tabriz, there are tens of millions of good and decent people with thousands of years of history behind them and a brilliant future ahead of them. Don't let a small group of fanatic theocrats crush your hopes and your dreams. You deserve better. Your children deserve better. The entire world deserves better. I know you don't support the rapists and murderers of Hamas and Hezbollah, but your leaders do. You deserve more. The people of Iran should know Israel stands with you. May we together know a future of prosperity and peace.
Well, here we go. Tens of thousands of port workers from Maine to Texas set to strike when the clock strikes midnight tonight. This all happening over a pay dispute. The International Longshoremen's Association, they're demanding a 77% pay raise increase over 6 years. They want more guarantees their industry is not going to be upended by the addition of automation. Last night, the ILA confirming its workers will be striking. Now, this strike could cost the economy up to $5 billion per day and lose more than $7 billion in GDP per week for the U.S. economy. President Biden yesterday again saying he will not stand in their way. Watch.
Mr. President, would you intervene in the dock workers' strike if they go on strike on Tuesday?
No.
Why not?
Because it's collective bargaining. I don't believe in Taft-Hartley.
Joining me now, American Trucking Association's President and CEO Chris Spear. Chris, good morning to you. Give us your assessment of where we are right now. It seems that the negotiations are at a standstill.
They are, Sharon. Thanks for having me on. Listen, we're less than 18 hours out, and this president's saying it's collective bargaining. Well, that's true if they've actually been to the table. They haven't met since June. I mean, where is the leadership here? We've got southeast United States, half of North Carolina, parts of Georgia, southern Virginia that are underwater or under mud digging out. These people need help. And now we're going to shut down 36 ports. all the commerce going in and out of this eastern half of the country, 46% of all agriculture is exported out of our East Coast ports. This is not the time for a strike. This administration needs to get these parties to the table and get a deal. They're derelict. They're not anywhere near this negotiation. So this needs to get called out, and I appreciate you shedding light on it.
Well, obviously the supply chain, and I'm glad that you brought up the point, especially for the state of North Carolina right now, which is just facing mass devastation from Hurricane Helene. Let's talk about your association. You're moving over 72% of the nation's freight by tonnage. You're saying 46% of containerized agricultural exports departs, again, you just mentioned that, from these East Coast ports. So let's talk about the kinds of foods that are and the products that are in those containers. You mentioned the number, but give me some specific examples, because as you're saying, these are crucial supplies that need to go to these eastern states.
Well, absolutely. Let's start with farmers. Let's start with agriculture. The things that are going to perish first are fruit, produce. You know, we've got meat, poultry. We've got everything from soybeans to cotton. All these things in the first week are going to be the products that are going to show up on the shelves first. As you go second week, third week, fourth week out, you're looking at things that are going to show up on the shelves at Christmas time. So this is not, you know, the sequence you want going into an election. You know, this is really a disaster in the making, and literally, we're less than 18 hours out, and these parties have not talked for 3 months.
We, again, 12:01 Tuesday morning, when the clock strikes midnight, that's when they say they are going to walk out, and it doesn't seem that there's any negotiations happening. And again, President Biden not interested in stepping in, which really surprises me. I want to bring in Mark Tepper. Mark, Moody's Analytics assessment of what they're saying is, as far as the economic hit. I mean, you were talking about 45,000 workers, 3 dozen ports. You've got 85,000 union workers, right? This could cost, and this is, I'm sorry, JP Morgan analysis, not Moody's. This could cost $5 billion per day. We could be losing $4.5 to $7.5 billion in GDP per week. And then Chris mentioning, obviously, these states have now been hit by a natural disaster, and they're going to be cut off from these supplies.
Yeah, and Cheryl, you know, look, this is going to happen right as the holiday shopping season is going to be kicking into gear, which is totally frustrating. And what I've heard is that even a 2-week strike can actually disrupt supply chains into 2025, next year. So, look, I mean, I understand when people want more money. Everybody wants to make more money. Everybody wants to improve their standard of living. I don't know if 77% is reasonable, but the fact that they want to eliminate all automation, that's the thing that's really most disturbing to me from an economic standpoint, Cheryl, because, you know, we need, when you look at AI and automation, that's what's going to drive productivity. That's what's going to drive efficiency and economic growth into the future. We need to embrace automation, not shun it. Otherwise, our adversaries are going to pass us up economically.
And also, Liz Peek, Benchmark Capital's Bill Gurley telling Fox Business that basically the federal government has got to step in. And he says outlawing the effective use of technology will unquestionably doom our nation. We will become globally uncompetitive.
Yeah, this is a tremendous blow to the productivity of our entire infrastructure, Cheryl, if President Biden doesn't step in. And viewers should know that he has the right to do that. The Taft-Hartley law allows him to call for an 80-day cooling off period, and that is what he's basically saying he won't do, even though, as your guest pointed out, 3 months of no negotiation. The industry is at 40% pay hikes, and the workers want 77%. Obviously, that is a huge gulf, and there has been very little effort or ability to make that gulf smaller. So I think this is a disaster. And by the way, the second surge of inflation typically comes because workers demand outsized pay hikes to make up for the years where they've been behind because of inflation. That's, I think, the really scary prospect going forward. Boeing and now the longshoremen and their other unions also circling who want big pay hikes because of Biden's inflation problem.
You know, and the automation, Chris, real quick, final word, just a couple of seconds here. But the automation issue of this is what just baffles me, because you can't fight technology. And that's what they want to do. Banning all automation at the ports? That's incredible to me.
Well, we may as well be moving this freight with donkey carts. I mean, this is such an archaic view. And this is an administration that has emboldened union bosses to do exactly this. I was involved in the Taft-Hartley in 2002 when the West Coast ports shut down. I can tell you, you don't want to take any tools off the table. As president, it is your job to mediate these two parties when they can't reach an agreement. Well, they're already shilling for the union. These guys walked a picket line for the UAW, including the vice president and the acting secretary of labor. They are in the pocket of big labor. So if you're USMX representing these 36 ports, you have no incentive to come to the table and broker a deal with this administration because they've already shown their cards. So whatever it is, pay, automation, these are all issues that should have been at the table 3 months ago. They haven't talked, and that's the job of the president. They're asleep at the wheel.
Right. Chris Spear, thank you so much for joining us on this developing story. As again, the countdown clock is now on for this strike, and it's just a devastating time again for this part of the nation. Thank you, Chris.
Good to have you with us today on First at 4. I'm Devin Scillian in for Karen Drew. We are learning more about the circumstances surrounding 13-year-old Naziah Harris's death. The accused in that death in court today facing murder charges. Let's get to Sean Lay live from 36th District Court with more. Sean.
Devin, right here talking to family members of Naziah Harris. They tell me exactly what everyone's thinking. This just keeps getting worse. Before we get to the video here, real quick, he was charged, Butts, today with 3 different charges against 3 different victims. One, a girl under the age of 13 that he was allegedly sexually assaulting. Another one, a 4-year-old, apparently his own daughter, charged with that and giving her a sexually transmitted disease, and then the disappearance, murder, and sexual assault of Naziah Harris. Let's take you right inside court. That's happening just moments ago inside 36th District Court. In cuffs, in the mask, green jumpsuit. That's 41-year-old Jarvis Butts. Now, prosecutors laid out a new motive about why Naziah Harris went missing last January 9th. Butts was due to turn himself into prison January 9th on a gun charge. And prosecutors say the motive was he could not allow Naziah Harris to have his child. She was pregnant with his child. He apparently knew that, and so they called that Butts's Naziah Harris problem. Absolutely sickening, and he allegedly took care of that problem, although her body has never been found. Naziah's aunt, who we've never seen or spoke with before, she was here for all of it, and she's never talked publicly before. I asked her exactly just a few minutes ago, who was ultimately responsible for looking after this little girl?
In my personal opinion, with no affiliation, there are multiple parties involved, as many have already stated. And I just have to hold on to hope that the entire truth will come to light. This is the beginning of the truth, and we're very grateful for this part, but the entire story will come out.
Back here live, the same question we're asking right here. Where is this girl's body? Prosecutors say all the evidence points to her no longer being with us whatsoever. Harris himself in cuffs. You saw there he's serving that time for the gun charge, so he was remanded. Absolutely no bond for him until his next court date coming up. With new information, we'll break it all down again for you at 5 o'clock. The story just keeps getting worse, Devin.
Sure does. All right, Sean.
A DNA swab from a baby born at Baylor Scott and White Waxahachie was what authorities needed to stop Marvin Scales.
We got a paternity test, and that test came back, 99.999 to the nth degree to Scales being the presumptive father.
The mother was just 14.
He was arrested for the aggravated sexual assault charge.
Detectives found Scales had 3 other child victims, all connected, prosecutors say, by the church where he worked with kids.
The offender is not just grooming the child into silence. They're grooming the entire family and creating a situation where everyone trusts him.
Arrest affidavits say parents let their kids spend the night at Scales' house. He assaulted them there and on group trips out of town. Detectives found one boy he assaulted because Scales filmed it.
It's possible that there are other victims still out there. Some of the video footage had people that we couldn't identify.
Prosecutors won't say at which church Scales found his victims.
To protect their confidentiality, these are children with something horrific happening to them.
But the DA says the church could have done a background check and found Scales was already a registered sex offender.
It should have heightened them a little bit to at least ask questions.
Does the church bear any responsibility then?
Yeah. He was not on the books as the official youth pastor. He was a volunteer. But still, I would say even volunteers need to be checked.
The 53-year-old pleaded guilty to 4 counts of sex crimes, 1 for each of his victims. A judge sentenced him to prison until 2074.
No chance of parole before that?
Not on those offenses, no.
So from your perspective, 50 years is a life sentence?
It is a life sentence. It was good for our victims because we didn't have to put the victims through the agony of a trial.
She says the kids who trusted their church leader have already been through enough. In Waxahachie, I'm Cole Sullivan.
A Tulsa pastor is behind bars charged with rape, child sex abuse, and incest. He just resigned from his church over the weekend. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Shay Razi.
And I'm Nathan Thompson. Sarah has the night off. We first told you at 5, according to an affidavit, B.M. Judge Bailey Sr. began sexually assaulting his victim when she was a child.
It goes on to say the abuse got worse as she got older. Until recently, Pastor B.M. Judge Bailey Sr. was a reverend at St. Andrew Christian Church near 36th Street North and MLK in North Tulsa. That all changed last week when a woman made a post on Facebook naming him as her abuser. She wrote, quote, "As a victim of sexual and mental abuse at the hands of Pastor Bailey for over a decade, I feel compelled to warn others about his predatory behavior. Despite his status as a respected member of the community, it is essential to shed light on his actions to prevent further harm to unsuspecting individuals." According to an affidavit, the abuse took place at home and started when the victim was in 6th grade. Court records say, quote, "It began with the defendant praying over her body and touching her." She told police the abuse became worse as she got older, with Bailey allegedly coming into her bedroom and raping her. According to court documents, the abuse continued when she became an adult, saying Bailey entered her home unannounced, pushed her to the floor, and sexually abused her just weeks after she had a baby. Earlier this month, the victim and her mother went to police about the alleged abuse. The affidavit shows some of their text messages with Bailey, with him saying, quote, "I am an adulterer, I am a child molester, I am a rapist." Investigators say in another message, Bailey confessed to watching pornography involving incest and said, quote, "He felt justified in acting out what was shown in the pornography because it was what people do." Police also say they have recordings and additional witness statements to corroborate the victim's story. After Tulsa police arrested Bailey Wednesday afternoon, his family released a statement saying to the victim, quote, "You are a strong, intelligent, and a talented young woman. No one should ever have their trust and safety violated in such a horrific way. We are all so deeply sorry this happened to you." Another alleged victim has come forward following the survivor's Facebook post. Tulsa police say that investigation is underway. In the meantime, Bailey is being held on $500,000 bond. We also reached out to St. Andrew Christian Church for a statement. We will share their response once we get it.
A plume of smoke still blowing over the site of that fire in Conyers and spreading into neighboring counties. We're talking about Gwinnett, Fulton, DeKalb, Fayette County just making a new announcement. A chemical reaction happening inside BioLab that's causing that smoke.
Moments ago, we got word that all outdoor activities at Gwinnett and Fayette County schools are now canceled. Rockdale schools are closed today. On fall break, thousands of people in that area are being told to evacuate.
All right, take a look at this. You can see smoke for miles. This is actually the message from Atlanta and Fulton County EMA talking about investigating numerous reports of haze and strong chemicals across Fulton County. They are investigating those and going to pass along all the information that they receive. If you have concerns, stay inside, close your windows and doors, turn off your AC and your other ventilation systems. We've been getting a lot of calls into the 11 Alive newsroom as people are concerned about things that they might be seeing out their window or smells in the air. 11 Alive's Bobeth Yates joining us live from Johnson Park, just outside of Conyers, south of the evacuation zone. Bobeth, BioLab makes pool treatments. Are you smelling chlorine in the air from your location?
Chlorine can be smelled from this location, but the good news is officials say the plume is actually moving north. So technically, I'm outside of the area of concern, but I'm wearing my mask out of abundance of caution. Behind me, you can see the command post as multiple law enforcement agencies are responding to this incident. And just in case the wind shifts, me and my photographer are prepared with an official gas mask to prevent any impacts from that system.
The smoke was changing colors. Like, I saw it turn yellow a little bit, but it did end up turning red for a while.
Rockdale County resident TJ Lamar is among those nervous and afraid of the plume of smoke that now sits over Conyers after a massive chemical fire at BioLab erupted early Sunday morning. Officials did not disclose how the fire began, but say water used to battle the blaze caused a chemical reaction to occur when it came in contact with the hazardous materials at the plant, creating a large chemical plume.
My eyes were burning, and like you can smell the chlorine in the air. It was just crazy. So I hope they get this settled soon.
As a result, thousands had to be evacuated, and there were multiple road closures. A shelter-in-place order also remains in effect.
So right now, it is a precaution. We do have EPA and EPD on scene right now, and until we get a reading of what the actual plume is, but yes, precautionary, being proactive to make sure everyone's safe.
In 2004, a similar fire occurred at the same BioLab plant. Back then, officials found hydrogen bromide, chlorine, phosphagen, hydrogen chloride, and hydrogen cyanide were all present in the air, all chemicals that can be considered toxic at high levels. And now, decades later, residents are once again waiting on tests to see what's in the plume currently lingering over Conyers.
Of course, the longer it goes, the better it's getting. So we're mitigating to it. It's a slow process, but we are working to get through it.
Again, we are live at the command post just south of Conyers. Behind me, officials say they're working once again to kind of respond to this incident. They say there will be an update around 11:30, so that's just in a roughly 30 minutes or 15 or so minutes from now. And we're going to be out here with updates, and of course, hopefully the wind does not shift and we won't have to pull out that gas mask. Live in Rockdale County, Bobeth Yates, 11 Alive News.
Bobeth, thank you. We actually just got a statement from Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens. He says the Atlanta Fire Rescue Department and the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport are conducting air quality control checks. At this time, no warnings or advisories have been issued.
Well, a shaky start to the weekend. SoCal rocked by not one, not two, but three earthquakes today.
The first happening in Cabazon. It was a 2.9 that struck just after 6 this morning. And then hours later at around 4 this afternoon, a 3.2 was felt in Fontana.
And another quake rocking the Malibu area. 3.2 earthquake was felt around 2:30. It's the very latest in a series of quakes that have been felt in that Malibu area. So far, no damage has been reported.